For this week's Hacienda at Home, I'm very excited to be making pesto pasta. We're going to make basil pesto using all our ingredients here from the farm. So first we can head out and harvest some basil, pick up some garlic that Steven's been drying since the spring, and come in here and make it all in a mortar and pestle. And this is such a classic, delicious, quintessentially summer dish. The first thing we're gonna do to make our pesto is toast up the pine nuts. We'll need probably about 1/3 of a cup, and we'll toast them in a 350-degree oven. Now we can pick our basil. So for pesto, I like to do a little thing where I blanch the basil really quickly for about 5 seconds in boiling water and then shock it in ice water. And I've found that this is a good way of making sure your basil stays bright green, because there's nothing worse than going through the act of making pesto and your pasta turns brown. We can put a pot of water on to boil to blanch this, and then we can reuse the pot for cooking our pasta. So while we're waiting for our water to come up, we can peel the garlic. We'll want about 3 cloves. Ooh, I can smell our pine nuts. They're starting to get fragrant, so we should pull those from the oven. It took about 4 or 5 minutes. There's a nice golden brown. And we can finish peeling the garlic. We can throw our garlic in the mortar and now go blanch the basil. I have a bowl of ice water here that we'll land the basil into. So we're all ready, because this will happen very quickly. We don't want to cook the basil really, we're just kind of preserving it in this vibrant state. So now that this has totally cooled off, we're gonna squeeze out all the water, because we don't want it to get waterlogged. So now we'll chop up this basil quite a bit, and that'll help us later when we're pounding it to a paste. So we can set this aside and start making the pesto in the mortar. So I'm gonna land the mortar on a towel so it doesn't rock or sway. And we have our garlic in here, and I'll add some flaky salt and just break this down to a paste. So now we can add the pine nuts, and I'm gonna start with maybe somewhere between 1/4 and 1/3 of a cup. So maybe we'll do 3 small handfuls. I like a lot of pine nuts in there. Looking pretty good. We'll take it a little further. So when you're using a mortar and pestle, you really want to use the weight of the pestle and push against the sides. So now we'll start adding the basil. I'm just going to add a spoonful and do this slowly with a little bit more flaky salt, and that'll help act as an abrasive and break the basil down. Just patience. So this is looking pretty pasty. Looks great. So now I'm gonna set this aside and grate some cheese. We're gonna use mostly Parmesan and a little bit of Pecorino. Probably 1/3 of a cup grated. Now we can pound the cheese in here just to incorporate it, and then we'll start mixing in the oil. Okay, now we can emulsify. Start with a little bit. We'll probably end up adding about 1/2 cup. Clásico. It's a nice paste. Let's see where we are on salt. We haven't really added much salt because we added all that cheese. Yeah. When you're tasting pesto, you want to taste all the ingredients, so it should be like, the crisp, fresh basil, salty cheese. The garlic should be hitting you. The nuts give you a creaminess, and your whole mouth should be kind of coated in like an olive oily fat. You want it all. Okay, our pesto is ready, and now we can cook our pasta. Now we'll cook this until it's al dente. So our pasta is cooking, and now we're gonna get our pesto into our mixing bowl. We're not gonna put the pesto on the stove. We don't wanna put it in a pan, we're not gonna cook it. We're just gonna let the residual heat of the pasta warm the sauce and melt the cheese and make it creamy and delicious. Okay, let's check if our pasta's done. Yeah, a little bit of toothsomeness, but good. So now we'll get this all out into our pesto bowl. So now I'm going to grab a little bit of this cooking liquid and incorporate that, and that'll help make the sauce. And we start mixing. It smells amazing. Now we'll toss this a little. Now I'm going to add a little bit more cheese. Okay, now I think I'm going to give it a taste, see where we are. The sauce is really creamy and the noodles are coated. It looks and smells delicious. Give it a taste. So delicious, so summery, vibrant basil, salty cheese, really creamy. It's perfect.